How you doing, nerds? Uh, just finished second season of Sense8, and oh my gosh, I'm on the rather impressed side of things. Um, Sometimes I wish it wasn't so easy to binge stuff, but I didn't watch it all in one day, so that's a good thing. Um, there's a lot to say, I guess. But if you're not already into Sense8, it is kind of an experimental film of a show. The plot kind of diegetically explains the way they shoot it and the way kind of the world works. And I feel like it could have been seen as a gimmick in the first season, especially because, it was new to everyone, and they were still getting their feet wet in everything that it is. Through watching this season, I've seen more similarities between it and The Matrix than I had originally realized. Kind of that concept of being somewhere else and your real body being influenced by whatever you're doing in this other space. In The Matrix is obviously, you get jacked in and, punches hurt, your body shakes, things like that. Where in Sense8, other people can share all your senses, so the pain you feel is the pain they feel. A lot of scenes play out kind of like that. Like it would be in The Matrix, if you remember the end where Neo's getting his butt kicked, and he even gets shot and he starts bleeding in real life. Although it is more intimate in Sense8 because it's not just what you're doing in another place acting upon your body, it's what's happening to another person acting upon your body. It's even more important and intimate because, well, in Sense8, you get close to your cluster, the people that you share your senses with. Clusters have 8 people. You care about them, and you grow to, love them. Kind of like how you would if you're watching a bunch of hours of a series about people struggling through all sorts of stuff. One of the big things that I like about Sense8 is its sense of scale. It has a very global scale and also makes it very hard to shoot because obviously with people being in a place but not being in a place, they need to actually physically be in the place to actually be able to shoot it. So they need to be able to move the actors to 8 different locations. And of course, they can kind of cheat and make certain locations seem, or like a set, seem like it's in one place when it's not really, obviously, moving magic. But at the same time, I can imagine it would get rather daunting because they do try to show you, yeah, we're totally in London, yeah, we're totally in Berlin. Like, there's kind of no escaping unless they're using digital effects, which would really suck, which I don't think they're doing. Sense8 has this real sense of reality, even though it's super science fiction, that The Matrix just doesn't have, because it's like, Sense8 takes place in our world, and honestly, it deals with a lot of issues, especially based on the character and where they're from, that could have been a story all by itself. And because of the fact that all the characters have their whole cluster to rely upon, and they can kind of leech off of other experiences, or let a friend technically pilot their bodies, even switching off sometimes, it can get rather awesome. And a lot of scenes are kind of playing into this sense of another person using your senses to see or do things that you either don't have the skills to do or don't notice because of the way your mind state is. Kind of like how in the Matrix, an operator could make you know martial arts or how to fly a helicopter. In Sense8's case, it's, hey, you know how to drive a motorcycle, right? Yeah, thanks, do that for me. Obviously, that's an overview and kind of stating how I generally feel about how it's handled. Without spoilers, I will say that they really doubled down on all this being in multiple places at once, and even double down on the thought of clusters being around the world. We don't know how many, but there's a lot. Sorry, that's a slight spoiler. But I would say in terms of world building, this season was amazing. And it really, for me, it really pushed it from the realm of, man, this is a really, really cool concept to, oh my God, how long is this going to go on for? And not in a bad way, like, before the scope of it was still global, but you could kind of see ways they could end it, and it didn't seem as big. Now, considering all the new characters they've introduced this season, and they've kind of finished out a plot line or two, freeing up characters who previously were stuck in whatever country they were in or whatever place they were in, are now free to move around and kind of have the plot availability to help their team and not only need help from the team. The season had a lot of crazy scares in terms of character deaths. Still don't want to spoil anything, but I really felt connected to the characters, and I think that's obviously the point in terms of media in general. But I think that because of the way a Sense8 is, and how as a viewer you kind of learn to read the language of the show. It's really inventive, I guess. I finished the last episode, and while I was about 16 minutes from completing that last episode, I was like, oh my God, they're gonna hit me with some sort of cliffhanger, and I'm gonna be less than pleased because there's not enough time to do the things that would have a satisfying conclusion this season. And I was completely wrong. And I won't tell you exactly how, but I will say that because of how the show is shot and because of the amazing editing work, they were actually able to, in like 15 minutes, pack in as much happening as probably could take a typical show to do in 30 minutes, if only because the language of the show allows us to move more effortlessly from place to place and from action to action, on top of what? Brain fart. on top of, actually, I think I'll end it there. I don't want to tease it out too much, but it was a pleasant surprise to see how the season ended, and it leaves me in a much better place than having watched last season and having to wait 2 years. Hopefully they'll be able to shoot and finish before 2 years passes again. But I mean, if it does take them 2 years to release another season, I'd be okay with that, because I mean, it's a really huge undertaking, and to cut corners in any way will really be a detriment to the show, and I don't think it would be fair to any fans or the creators or anyone really involved. Especially if you haven't seen Sense8, also know it is a super queer show. So if you have any problems with that, then you've been warned for some reason. I don't know why you have a problem with that. But there's a trans character, there's a gay male character, a gay female character within the main team, and then we have characters of all different sexualities, ethnic backgrounds, and things like that. So it's a show that really, really, really separates diversity. I mean, one of the creators, the Wachowskis, one of them is trans, so that probably played into part of that. And honestly, I haven't actually really looked at any interviews or anything in terms of what the people creating the show are thinking about the show and how they feel it's being received, and what they get out of making it. But I encourage you to. I probably will eventually if I ever get bored of rewatching the whole series up until this point. I think that's pretty much it, nerds. Sense8 is definitely one of my favorite shows right now, and I really highly recommend you watch it. And if you've already seen season 1 and you're like, I don't know if I can make time for season 2, I don't know, like wake up an hour earlier in the morning and watch it before you go to work or school or something. That's what I did. Other than that, nerds, have a good one. Peace. Enjoy your weekend.